Hi, I'm Pauletta Hansel, and I'm going to read a poem that I wrote earlier in this pandemic called 13 Ways of Looking at a Pandemic. It begins with 3 epigraphs. The first, for those of you who may not know, the Bradford pear and related cultivars of Pyrus kelleriana are an invasive species, established outside cultivation in 152 counties in 25 states in the United States. And that's from Wikipedia. The second, in the voice of the angel from Angels in America, you must stop moving, forsake the open road. You do not advance, you only trample. And the third, from the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey, what is a weekend? 13 ways of looking at a pandemic. 1. At first, I think they are everywhere, the Bradford pears, their gaudy, gauzy tutu wide against a mostly leafless landscape. One more dubious pleasure of this pandemic spring, like our weekend trips to bike paths for walks we could, yes, take on our own urban sidewalks, and do. But then I notice, or maybe my husband says it first, that they cluster themselves where the people are. When the endless tracks of end-of-millennium look-alike houses end, the pears are gone too. 2. Here's a little-known fact. The first seeds for what became, in our hands, the Bradford pear, made their way down the Yangtze from Yichang to what is now Wuhan in 1918 in the bags of a plant explorer hired by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The seeds were shipped to Washington after the explorer's body was fished from the river. Suicide, they think. Few people ever realized the tremendous battle that was raging in his soul, wrote the plant scientist who'd sent him on his journey. Not about the seeds, surely, but interesting nonetheless. 3. We all want to blame somebody, and that's a fact. Millennials are blaming the boomers, and my friend in the UK writes on Facebook, "People of America, I swear to God, stay at home." And our sorry excuse for a president calls it the China virus. I want to blame somebody too, so I yell at my husband for not fixing the damn windshield wipers back in January when we still had some place to go in the rain or any time we damn well wanted. Damn it. 4. Without thinking much about it, we have globalized our environment in much the same way we have globalized our economy. Peter Del Tradici, a Harvard senior research scientist, retired. 5. It's not the seeds that are to blame. It's 100 years later now back in the Hubei province, and the pear trees there have stayed in their place. We took and selected, propagated and fused and planted them wherever we wanted something pretty that we didn't have to wait for, that would look just like the ones our neighbors had, but maybe bigger. 6. It's hard to say which we I am talking about. Maybe the U.S., maybe the whole human race. 7. The coronavirus can live for 3 days on plastic and steel and travel through the air suspended for about half an hour. The New York Times. 8. Seed longevity likely contributes to the invasive tendencies of calorie, aka Bradford pear, enabling it to persist despite efforts at surface level removal. Scientist Teresa Culley in Sapore Serratane. 9. Neither drinking alcohol nor taking a hot bath will protect you from the coronavirus, according to the World Health Organization Mythbuster page. 10. Scientists have concluded that the SARS-CoV-2, aka COVID-19, aka novel coronavirus, was the result of natural selection and not the product of genetic engineering. So at least we didn't make the thing on purpose, like we did the Bradford pear, trying to make the perfect tree. But there's more than one way to engineer a pandemic. I reckon the Wuhan market pangolins would have rather stayed deep inside their forests, if there were still forests where they used to stay. 11. It's hard to stay home, but mostly we do. Twice daily walks around the neighborhood, and on what we still call weekends, we sit swaddled in our car for a while, headed out to the burbs to walk along the mostly empty bike paths, every now and then diving into the brush to avoid a gaggle of humans. We try not to be too coupled and smug, to not say to each other, "You can't tell me they all live in the same house." We try not to feel too guilty for being out where anyone can see us, far from home. 12. Remember when I said those pears were everywhere? That Dr. Cully has a theory, and it has to do with robins, the Turdus migratorius, the most American of birds, which, unlike the European starlings, drop their poop deep inside a forest, not just along its edge. Poop is my word, not hers. 13. It was May 31st, 1918, when Frank Meyer, a plant explorer, boarded a ship from what is now Wuhan to sail downriver to Shanghai, from where he intended to ship his seeds. He had been suffering from a stomach bug, but seemed much better. You're probably thinking about the flu that we used to call Spanish. But remember, scientists trace that pandemic from an army camp in Kansas, which sent men across the country and on to Europe for the sole purpose of killing people. And that's what they did.